Hey everybody, let me fix this camera. Hey everybody, Jim Williams here, coming to you from the beautiful paradise of Central Florida. It's Wednesday, September 13. The storm, Hurricane Irma, has passed. Monday, winds died away, rains died away. Tuesday turned out cloudy, and then it turned beautiful, and now here we got this beautiful sunny day. In fact, beautiful rainbow yesterday, just all across the beautiful Central Florida sky. Beautiful rainbow after the storm. That was exciting. Making this video because I had several, well, first of all of you who expressed your prayers, your blessings, your wishes, your good thoughts, sent us your love. Thank you for such expressions of goodwill and concern, and your trust in the Lord for us on our behalf, and your prayers on our behalf. That was very, very grateful, very thoughtful, and I'm grateful for that. But some of you have also asked some questions I thought I would address. I'm sorry, it's kind of warm in the car here. I'm kind of in a rush on the way home. A couple of questions. Well, first of all, somebody wrote a note and said, "Please tell us how things are. You haven't made a video since right at the end of the storm there." So I just want to let you know that once we got home to our place, everything was fine. We may have lost power for a very short period of time, but all the power was working when we came home, and there was just a small amount of roof damage, which probably going to turn out to be nothing. But I mean, there were a lot of people who lost a lot of things. A lot of people lost power and are still out of power. A lot of people had a lot of damage in their yard, trees down, neighbors' trees falling on their cars and on their houses, and all these kinds of things. I am grateful to tell you that we were blessed and that none of that stuff happened to us. And sorry that it had to happen to other people, but grateful that we were spared that. In fact, we were spared, all here in Central Florida was spared any direct hit from Hurricane Irma. I watched some videos that came out of Naples, Florida, Key West, Florida, and I was just shocked and horrified by the incredible force of that Cat 5 hurricane, and grateful that none of that hit us. We got really just a glancing blow here in Central Florida. So as far as the house is concerned, of course, I never feared for our life. I never feared for my wife's life or my life. I mean, physically, I knew we were going to be okay because of where we were staying. And the only thing, of course, we were concerned about was what possible damage there might be to the house. And then there was none, and so we're very grateful. Okay, another person wrote and said, once they made a determination from some of the things I had said on a previous video, that my wife and I turned out actually not to be together during the hurricane. And someone said, "Why aren't you with your wife?" or "Why isn't your wife with you?" And I could make some cute little comical comment about something about I kicked her out of the house, but that's not what happened. That is not what happened. You see, I work at an agency that during a time like this of a hurricane and so forth, in time of an emergency, we are a special needs shelter. And then I am required, because of my position with the company, I'm required to transport people to the facility who are in emergency situations. In other words, they live in mobile homes, they have to have electricity for oxygen, and a variety of other needs. That's the definition of special needs. Well, people that have special needs have to come to our shelter. And I am tasked with bringing them to the shelter. And once the storm begins, I have to be there for the duration. Well, we had already planned for June and I to do that. We actually did that last year when there was a storm, a hurricane last year that came through. And we stayed at the shelter, so we knew we were going to be safe. However, this year, because of the this storm was worse than the last year's storm, there were many more people who came to our shelter. So as the time approached for the storm and the time for June to make the decision to come and stay at the shelter, she decided to stay at another secure facility with friends. So that's why we weren't actually together during the hurricane as we had originally planned. So just to answer that question, that's why we weren't together. I didn't kick her out of the house. She didn't kick me out of the house. All right, just wanted to clarify that. And then another person just wanted an update on how things were. So everything, now there was a lot of damage in the area. Today's Wednesday. The storm ended on Monday, and by Monday afternoon, Monday evening, those who had power and were not flooded, we began transporting home into the night. And then yesterday, and what happened was, there is a retirement community in the area here that is by a creek that always floods during storms. And this creek, on this worsening storm, this Cat 5 storm, Cat 4, whatever it was, the creek has flooded almost the entire community. So yesterday, beginning yesterday, although we were sending people home in areas of town that were not flooded and had power, here was an area of the community where there were like 1,000 residents and they had no power and the whole place is flooded. You know, relatively speaking, the whole place was flooded. So we now had to start taking in a new wave of clients, evacuees, if you will, into our shelter. And there's another shelter that opened, a big rodeo arena here in town that opened as a shelter. And there were something like 1,000 residents of that facility, that village, that had to be evacuated, and a lot of them had to be evacuated with airboats. That's how bad the situation was and is. That particular creek, by the way, called Shingle Creek, is still rising even as I speak. It's not going to crest probably for another day or so. So that's not going away anytime soon. So what I'm saying is that all of a sudden now, one storm ends, we start taking people home. Now a whole new wave of people are being brought to us, to the facility. So we are continuing still to this point as being a shelter, an emergency shelter. And that's why I haven't made another video. It has just been a non-stop, and I have just been worn out once I do leave work for a few hours sleep. And that's why I haven't made a video before now. So I just wanted to clarify all that, let you know that as far as June and I are concerned, we're safe and sound. Our house is fine. And hopefully you get the word down. Hopefully the people that wanted to hear that information are going to get that information. So as far as Irma is concerned, all of the videos that I intended to do updated. This will probably be the last regarding Irma itself, or herself, or whatever the itself is. A hurricane. Hurricane is in her. Even though it might be called Bob, it's still a hurricane. Anyway. So this is kind of the last of the Irma updates, and I wanted to catch up on that, and I'm kind of rushing home right now because I got some other stuff I got to do at home, and tonight's Wednesday night. I teach a Bible class, so I got to get that going. So I just wanted to pop in quickly, give you that information. I don't even know if it made any sense. Sometimes what I say doesn't make a lot of sense. Just ask my wife.